Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here, and today we are going to take a break from the hydroponics and try to get the chicken water finished. So we put our tank in another video, and I went ahead and hooked up the dripper system in the small chicken coop. And today we're going to be taking out our old big water dripper thingy that I built back in the winter, and we're going to be modifying it, making a few changes, and tying it into our water tank system. So let's get started. Alright guys, so currently the way our old system is here is we had our 2-inch fill pipe down here that came in and filled the whole system up, and then we had this standpipe with our overflow holes here. And this system would hold a total of about 4.5 gallons of water, 4.5 to 5 gallons of water, and it's worked great. A few changes in the design plan that I could think of is, one, being able to flush it out. I haven't cleaned this thing out since I installed it back last fall, and it's really not bad, especially considering, you know, that I was putting just unfiltered rainwater and stuff in it, but it's really not that bad. It's a little cruddy, but not bad. But I really want to be able to flush it out. So, and two, it's way too big with a storage tank feeding it, a direct feed storage tank. It's way too big. I've got way too many drippers on it. Even for 12 chickens, they're never at all 12 drippers at one time. So there's just a lot of drippers on it, and it's unnecessary, and realistically it could be more money and more maintenance to have to replace these nipples out in the future. So the nipples still look like they're, in pretty good shape. So basically my plan is I'm going to cut the solid cap off here, and I'm going to put a clean out adapter on it. So basically I'm just going to put a threaded female connector on it, and then we'll just put a cap on the end of it. It'll go down here, and then on this end I'm going to cut it off at this T where our standpipe was, and I'm going to put a 90 on here and reduce it down to from 4-inch to 3/4 inch, and then we can bring our 3/4 inch supply line in and just tie right into it. So the only water that'll be stored in it will just be right here, and then if we want to flush it out, clean it out, whatever, we can do so by just taking the cap off of the clean out adapter and run it out. So basically what I'm going to do is just go ahead and make some cuts and start gluing some parts back together. I'm going to take this over and clean it up in the water hose before we glue our fittings on it. Now to reduce our 4-inch down to 3/4 inch, I've got two bushings here. One is a 4-inch to 2-inch, and one is a 2-inch to 3/4 inch bushing. So we just glue those together just like you would anything else. Alright guys, so we've got it all tied in now. You can see it's a lot smaller, a lot neater looking. We've got our main line coming from our tank, our tee-off, coming over and dropping down into the shorter section that we cut off of the original watering system. So now it'll be much easier to maintain. Just a little FYI on the chickens. Back here in the back, if you have a permanent run, something that's consistently used for your run, and you don't have the ability to let them free range and let them move around, I've talked about it in the Happy Chickens video, but basically give them something to do, especially now during the summer. They're looking for something to do. It keeps them preoccupied, keeps them from getting bored. One thing that you can do, like I say, if you have a permanent run, turn the dirt up in a section of it. Just take a pitchfork and turn it. And this dirt is really compost heavy. So there'll be a lot of compost worms in it, or there should be. And those compost worms, they love to eat them. They're packed full of protein, really good for them. And it gives them something to scratch around in. Another thing you can do is put a light layer of straw over the run, in parts at least, and it gives them something to scratch around in. Maybe throw a little bit of scratch drain in there, and they can scratch around and hunt for it. And it keeps your coop from stinking so bad, and it keeps it a little bit drier from the rain. And it helps absorb some of the liquid in the poop. So that's something you can do. You don't want to coat it too heavily. I ran into that problem, and I talked about that in the Coupe de Ville video. Too many layers of straw, you just keep adding it on thinking it's composting, and it's not, and it becomes a mucky just mess. So go real light, and be sure and rake it out every now and then and throw it in your compost, that way it doesn't get murky and slimy and nasty and stinks so bad. So just letting this dry up a little bit longer, and I'm going to put the cap on the end for the clean out, and then we'll turn the water on. Alright, so I went ahead and put a little bit of Teflon or thread tape on our cap here, our clean out cap, and that'll keep us from having to torque it down so hard, and also it'll keep it from leaking. So just go ahead and put that in the end here. You can also, if you can find a big rubber washer, works really good for your clean out as well. That should keep us from leaking. Let me go ahead and turn the water on here. Looks like we got water. Make sure we don't have a leak. Alright, looks like we should be back in business. Alright, just a couple of things I wanted to go over real quick before we end this video. You go back and watch the water tower video for the chickens, and you can see how we did the water tower. But if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's bubbles bubbling. See, they're coming up right above the outlet and bubbling up. One thing you want to be sure and do if you're doing a water tower. Now, in our old system, we had a standpipe with a breather on it with an overflow. That served as airflow to allow it to breathe. In this one, we don't have a breather on it. It's a completely sealed system. So you want to make sure that your cap on top has a way to breathe. Somewhere in your system, you have to be able to breathe. We have a cap on ours, and then also there's no check valve on this, which I thought about putting a check valve on it. Somebody actually mentioned that in the other video, but it can actually breathe through this valve right here, through our fill valve, our fill line. So as long as your tank can breathe, your chickens will always get water. The If it can't breathe, the tank will just suction, and it'll suck in like a milk jug. If you turn a milk jug over and try to dump water or milk out of it, it just kind of pulsates and tries to breathe. As long as you have a breather somewhere in the system, you'll be fine. Another thing, I never did show the finished water dripper for the small coop after I got it finished, but basically this is where we was at with the old tower. Tees into a shutoff valve here, and then I just had this piece of PEX. You don't have to use PEX, you can use PVC or whatever, but I had this piece of PEX, so I went ahead and used it, and it just goes down into I used a 1-inch pipe on this one and put the drippers, and you can see what the young chickens do, and even the ducks learn to use the dripper system as well. One thing you can do is when they're close to the big chickens, they'll watch the big chickens and learn from them. But 9 times out of 10, if you'll take away any other water sources, they will learn to use the drippers on their own. But you can see the drippers there are working fine. Even the small chickens that can't reach it yet, they hop up to it to get water. So it works really well. So now both the small coop and the big coop have watering systems or dripper systems, and it's tied to the big tank up there. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. I just wanted to show you guys the completed dripper system, a few modifications to the watering system. So far it's working really great for me. It's nice to not have to come out and water the chickens every day, and 2, it's a sanitary way for them to have water. You know, the little watering pails that you set on the ground, or even the ones that you hang from a rope, a lot of times they'll fly up on top of that and poop in it and everything else, and it makes a mess. And it is, you know, a lot of work with everything else going on to have to come out and water them every single day. So to be able to not have to water them every single day is nice. I can look out my back door and see how much water's in the tank, and that makes for easier chores. So we still have to feed them every day, but that's gonna, you know, the big chicken coop has the feeder system, and it'll usually last 3 or 4 days. I just want to apologize for the noise in the background. I have some neighbors who have some hellion kids, and obviously they don't know respect or discipline. But anyway, that's beside the point. Another video. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and pop them in the comment section below. And any requests for videos around the homestead, you can pop those in there as well. Don't forget to check out the suggested videos and the support link for the Heritage Pride Homestead. And also, if you're interested in subscribing, you can do so by clicking on the little icon right there, and that'll take you directly to our page to subscribe. So anyway guys, until next time, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and most importantly, have fun. See you guys later.